Today we're gonna study about the stepping by woods on a snowy evening, and it was written by Robert Frost. So let's see the first stanza of the poem. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though he will not see me stopping here. Towards his woods fill up with snow. So this is the first stanza of the poem, and let's see the second stanza of the poem. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. And friend, this is the second stanza of the poem, and let's see the third stanza. He gives his harshness bell a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of edgy wind and downy flake. And let's see the next fourth stanza. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promised to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So this is the last stanza of the poem. And let's see the summary of the poem. If you've ever seen or experienced snow, you've probably taken a few minutes to marvel at its beauty. Possibly you were drawn to its element of nature that is at once soothing to look at. And dark in its association with cold winter and the silence of the nature. In literature, the season of the nature are often used to explore the relationship between life and death. And one of Robert Frost most famous poems, Stepping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, written in 1922, capture this pull between life and death, man and nature. The speaker in the poem is traveling at night through the snow and pauses with his horse near the woods by a neighbor's house to watch the snow falling around him. His horse shakes his harshness bells and questioning the pauses. Perhaps this place isn't on their usual route, or he is curious that there doesn't appear to be a farmhouse nearby. The speaker continued to stand near the woods, attracted by the deep, dark silence of his surroundings. He felt compelled to move further into the snowy woods, but he ultimately decided to continue, concluding with perhaps the most famous line of the poem, "But I have promised to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." So let's see the theme of the poem, Stepping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. So what is the theme of the poem? This short lyric of 16 lines begins with the description of the deep woods through which the speaker is passing on a dark, snowy evening. The owner of the poem. The woods lives away in the village, that the owner lives far away. He won't be able to see the speakers at his property. A reference to the snow occurs. The second and the third stanza are the found speculous about a little horse who is not willing to stop beside the woods because no farmhouse is visible. So he says, therefore, his harshness bell to know if the master has stopped there because of some mistake. The first stanza is a beautiful sketch about the woods. But the speaker is reminded of his promise to return home in time, so he must go away to cover up the miles. And now let's see the first stanza of the poem and its brief summary. The boy thinks that he knows whose these woods are, and he also knows that the owner of this house is a man who lives in the village. The forester therefore will not be able to see him stopping beside the woods to watch them being covered up with snow. And now the second stanza of the poem and its brief summary of the poem. So let's see here. The poet of the speaker believed that his little horse must think it ought to stop in these woods without the farmhouse nearby, between the woods and frozen lake on the darkest evening of the year. And similarly, the third stanza of the poem and the brief summary of the third stanza. Let's see here. The horse gives a shake to the bell of his rein to know if the poet has stood there by some mistake. The only other sound that is heard in the woods is that of the wind and a snowfall. Likewise, finally, the fourth stanza of the poem, and let's see the brief description or summary of the first stanza. The woods are beautiful, dark and deep to look at, but the poet speaker has to keep his word given to others, and therefore he has to go many miles to reach the destination before he retires to bed for sleep. And friend, one thing that I want to tell you is that if you like this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel Educul Inspire Mind. And thank you very much for joining us.